Dog. We've teased this a little bit. By we, I mostly mean you with your story for another day crap.
Yep.
We've talked about you shooting some shots, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like the whole game is continuously shooting shots.
Yes.
And, you know, Michael Jordan, you miss the shot, you don't take all that other inspirational crap, right?
Probably where it came from, yeah.
So, I know you took a big swing, shot a big shot with the W squared E.
Mm-hmm.
No one calls it that. Is there a cool thing that you don't just say WWE?
The Fed.
They're the Fed?
You call it the Fed.
They
you call it
own
the E.
The E?
Or you could refer to it as New York. Those are all things people do.
I guess. Dang it. I want to come up with something cool and be original, but I'm going to say New York because that kind of sounds cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the AEW, but...
Yeah, you'd probably say Jacksonville, but people don't refer to it as that because referring to places by their territory is kind of an 80s thing.
Man, is AEW Jacksonville then?
Yeah.
New Jack City, baby.
But if it was a thing that came about in the 80s, probably would refer to it as Jacksonville.
I'm calling AEW New Jack City.
Okay.
That's the
Sweet.
thing. I hope that catches on.
I hope it catches on too.
All right, man. So tell me about this shot with New York, man. Like, you done some things.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen some stuff. Your elbows have touched other elbows.
True. Yeah. I mean, everything I've done in my career could be termed shooting my shot, as the kids say. One of my former good buddies, who's like in his early 20s, he used to refer to it as that. So I always thought of that like that's a very hip way to put it. I mean, I've been doing this 15 years shooting my shot. So obviously for the first like 6 years, I was a schmuck. Didn't really get it. I was like good in the ring, but I didn't work out real hard or anything. Then started like another like 4 or 5 year journey of like really working my butt off and trying to like meet the right people.
And then a couple year journey of substance abuse before you got off the wagon.
Yeah, exactly. It's my redemption story, which helped build my credibility and my following.
Your relapse album.
Yeah, I mean, it's all for ratings. So that's going to be my third actual album. It's all for ratings. So
nice.
I'm going to say there's a few different things that people do, like trying to get noticed. So there's like a bunch of companies that aren't New York where I would go and do my tryout. You like pay some money, you do the tryout, and people really don't pay attention to you. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Are these like the seminar gimmicks?
Yeah, pretty much. And then even sometimes you can do seminar gimmicks at other companies with WWE related talent in thoughts of, hey, maybe they just happen to see you there. So if a WWE talent or producer or whatever has a tryout or a seminar somewhere, you might show up, work really hard, and just hope that they see something in you, because you never know. Like anybody could be your contact. Anybody could be your way in. So, you know, I did a bunch of those for a few years. Or if you work for former WWE people, they still know people in the know. Or like, say if I do a talent or a seminar with like Nova or Tommy Dreamer, which I've done those, like they used to be the head of talent relations. So they can tell you what they're looking for. They also know people. So they might be able to get you a contact if you need one.
So is that considered like backdooring your way in, or is that kind of like a major way in?
No, it's major way in. There's no real backdooring your way in our business. It's all front door. Like that's all how you get in.
You're just front and center ringing the bell, man.
Yeah, it's because it's really hard. I mean, back in the day, people would send in a VHS or a DVD, and some people would probably review it, and that seems the most legitimate way in, right? Like submitting a job application.
Have you considered sending a VHS?
Ooh, I mean, that would be funny to do now.
I wonder if they would find a way to view it.
I hope they do. Actually, I got told a story the other day. A friend of mine said that he showed up to a show one time, obviously in the 90s or early 2000s. You used to mail your VHS to all the independent companies, too, to try and get booked. He said he showed up to a show, handed the promoter his VHS, like, hey, man, here's my VHS. But it was show day, and the guy was like, well, I don't have a way to watch that right now, so pretty much you can just hang out at the show. And he's like, hold on. And he picked up his duffel bag, and out of his duffel bag, he pulled one of those 2-in-1 TV VCR combos.
Ooh, nice.
And sat it on the table in front of the promoter. It was like, there you go. And the guy just said, all right, you're booked.
Dude, that is some OG.
It's a legendary. As my friend Ed said, because he told my friend Ed this story when I was like on a break from watching Ed's table at this show. And he just came back and he was laughing. He's like, Jake, you have to hear this. It's the most carny shit I've ever heard. With my friend Kyle. Yeah.
I think you should have one of those. Go to Goodwill and find one. Just if you're jonesing for some Jerry Maguire. Because you got some Jerry Maguire VHS.
I should bring all that into a locker room with me and just plug it in, pop in the VHS to watch it pre-match.
Dude, yes. 100%. Yes. Right now, absolutely.
So people are like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, oh, it's just, pre-match ritual.
And then just start shooting quotes from the film. Like that human head weighs 8 pounds crap and that kind of thing.
Oh, man, I have to learn so many more quotes.
Worth it.
Oh, totally worth it. I'm sure Rod Tidwell had lots of quotes.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah.
What about getting in the door? Because you physically, you've been there. You've been to catering, dog.
Yeah.
Like, stuff
I've been to catering. And the way I got to catering, WWE is a constantly moving entity. So every week they're in multiple cities and they do a loop around the United States and Canada. And then a few times a year they go international and they'll do Asia and they'll do Europe and sometimes South America. So they're in this constant loop where if you're in the United States, they probably come to your market twice a year. Every time they come to your market, they have to book local talent. So they'll book 6 to 12 locals. They bring you in because they might need you on TV for some kind of menial role. They might need security guards or people to play a doctor, or they need some wrestlers to get beat up by the established wrestlers.
Well, did they know about your medical history? Do they know about Dr. Jacob Oatman?
Oh, probably not. But I guess I don't look like a doctor. That's part of the story later. So they'll book a bunch of local talent. So one of the things you kind of want to do is get on their radar a little bit, and you want to get booked as local talent. I was able to get booked as local talent several times because essentially did a seminar with a guy who works backstage at WWE. At the end of it, he was like, hey, I'm going to give a couple of you my contact information. Whenever we're local, get a hold of me and we'll hook up that for local talent. So that was taking a shot to do that seminar, right? Well, that got me my local talent gig. So I showed up to my first 3-day loop.
Was that with the gentleman I have heat with?
It was. You may have been at this seminar.
Yeah.
You guys may have heat.
That.
Who knows?
Yeah, that gentleman and I, we got heat.
Yeah, we're not going to
knows who he is.
Yeah, we're not going to mention my name. Ask us in person. So I signed up for my first 3-day loop. It was like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Cleveland, or something like that. So they'll book you for all 3 days. They'll pay you for all 3 days, and then you just show up at noon and you hang out till 11 or midnight, and maybe you do something. So I show up, and it's pay-per-view, and then Raw, and then SmackDown. So you show up at like noon, say the hellos to the people in charge of extras. You have to go get a physical done. You have to get all your stuff checked.
Run some panels.
Yep, pretty much. By the way, you also have to have like blood work on file. You have to have a physical on file. You have to have all that stuff on file recently. Then they pretty much, in your suit and tie, they tell you like, oh, hey, go hang out in catering and we'll grab you if you need anything. Also, the first time I was there, I had a really good interaction with a WWE superstar. So one of the first things they said was, all right, hey, everyone go ahead and go to the doctor, get your physical done. So we're like, okay, because we all need to get it done. So we all go to the WWE doctor. Now, we're in a building where it was a very narrow backstage area. I mean, like the width of a doorway was the entire backstage area around the building. It was really inefficient. So they told us to wait in the hall. So we are all like back to the wall, and there's not much room to get around us, but all of the WWE superstars are coming in that way. Now, it's a very wrestler thing to shake people's hand when you come in the building and when someone else comes in. Now, WWE, that's less efficient because there's hundreds of staff, there's hundreds of wrestlers, there's hundreds of crew. So you still want to shake hands to show respect to people when they're walking by you, but you don't want to be weird and everyone's walking in has their hands full. So you have to be as like normal about it as possible. Plus, let's be honest, no one on the staff or crew cares about the extra talent. Like, you're just a body that's taking up space.
Story of your life, really.
Yeah, you're just a body that's taking up space. No one's paying attention to you. So we're all hanging out there. Now, I've heard stories for years about people going to extra work and walking on eggshells, which, let's be honest, that's not going to get you a job. Now, you don't want to be too abrupt or like too obscure or try too hard, because that'll also get you blacklisted and kicked out of the building. But I was like, man, I'm not going to walk on eggshells Like, I'm just going to be me, and if it works, cool. If not, whatever. I want the job, obviously, more than anything. Not trying to say I don't want the job. I just say I'm not going to be scared for my life when I'm there. We are all backs to the wall outside the doctor's office waiting on the doctor. And WWE superstars are coming down one by one, and we're like, oh, hey, and shaking hands. At one point, a WWE superstar walks up in front of me, and he's like 6'5", and he's this mohawk. He's a very pale Irish fellow, huge. So he's shaking the hands, hi. So I reach out my hand, and we connect, we shake. I'm like, Jake. And he's like, I'm like, Jake. And he looks at me, like, cocks his head, and he's like, Dick? I'm like, what? It's like, and he like pulls me closer. He's like, Dick? And like, he's asking if I said dick. So like, you know what? I'm not going to take that from this guy, this punk. So I squeeze his hand real tight, and I lean in and I pull him into me, and I look dead in his little red eyes, and I'm like, Jake, like in a very stern, kind of aggressive manner. And out of my peripherals, I see all of the other extras appalled and scared to death. Like they're sinking into the wall. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he did that. And like this guy like looks at me, and we just stare face to face for like 3 or 4 seconds. And then he just laughs. He's like, hi. And like releases my handshake and keeps going. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? I'm like, dude, who cares? Like,
I'm not gonna let him punk me.
Yeah, I was
Does
like,
he know who I am? He doesn't, but he's gonna know.
I was like, who cares? It's funny. Like, yeah, I was gonna mess with him a little bit. And you know what? If anything, it got over. He might still think my name is Dick. But he probably thinks it's funny now.
Have you considered changing your name to Dick Omen?
I should just be, next time I meet him, I'll be like, Dick.
What if he remembers your name the next time?
Yeah, what if he asked if it was Jake? That'd be awesome. I'd pull him in closer and say, it's Dick.
If this ever happens, I insist you do it.
What if I was like, it's Dick? You know that thing you don't have?
Oh, yes.
Nah, he's probably a cool guy. He seems cool. He's got a great YouTube channel. But that was just one example. I have another example of me being ballsy at extra work. So anyway, we get our physical done, whatever. They tell you to go to catering. They tell you an hour or two later to put on your gear and go to ringside and see if you're going to have tryout matches. Because the big thing there is you want to get a tryout match. So before they go live on TV, they might have all the extras put on their wrestling gear, give you 5-minute matches, and then they critique you. So say you and I have a match at extra work. At the end of it, if the right person might have just walked by. People have gotten jobs this way. Like Vince McMahon has walked by the ring, seen guys doing their thing in the ring and been like, oh man, that guy looks good. Sign him. And that legit happens sometimes. It probably hasn't happened for a while, but that has happened. Or like more likely is like a Triple H or like some powerful producer will be like, oh, hey man, that guy's got a look, or man, the way he moves is good. And this used to be the way you would always get your WWE tryout. Now it's not. It's changed a lot. I did not get my WWE tryout this way. But so I did this for the first 3-day loop. Legit, it was on the pay-per-view day. They didn't even tell us to put our gear on. So they just pretty much tell you to stay in catering and just eat catering all day. It's delicious. I think that night they needed 1 or 2 guys on the pay-per-view to place like some role. So they picked the 2 most generic looking small dudes and had them play some role on TV.
What is this catering thing? You think it's like police interrogation rules? There's always some food there, and if you're so nervous you don't eat, they know you're nervous. So you just go there and eat, load up.
So I've also heard the conspiracy theory that if they see you eating the junk food because there's an entire table of awesome desserts and cakes and stuff, that's like a red flag. Also, I have heard that there are 1 or 2 WWE staff people that are narcs. If you're acting like a douche, then like they're taking notes.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
But if you're eating carrots and like smiling and waving.
Yeah, if it's chicken breast and white rice and broccoli, you're good. And the catering is always delicious. I've been to ones where they had steak or like salmon. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I hear it used to even be even better. But they just have a ton of awesome food. And then all the superstars are just in and out all day. So first night 1, I didn't do anything. Night 2, they were like, hey, we need a handful of security guards because there's a segment where Seth Rollins is going to try and go to the ring, but his ribs are hurt from what happened the night before the pay-per-view. So, one guy comes up and he's like, hey man, we need you to take off your nail polish. Hey man, hey, everyone go run to, the props truck and get a black security shirt and put on your black slacks. And then halfway through Raw or whatever, we run out as security to try and get Seth Rollins away from whomever it is. Which, that's kind of cool.
You got to touch the Seth Rollins?
No, one of the things I said was don't touch him because his ribs were hurt. But sometimes they have you in a pull apart, or they would have us say, get in the ring, get our ass kicked by somebody. Braun Strowman or whatever. So, that's, it's something to do when you're on national TV. So, that's kind of cool, It was funny, though, my social media blew up and people were, screen capping it and stuff. I made it.
Like that time you were on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, exactly. People screen capping it you made it and be no, I didn't. But thanks. I appreciate the support. Love it, actually. Yeah, it doesn't actually mean anything. Those 3 days didn't really that was all I did. Easy money. 3-4 months later, I went back for another 3 days of extra work. On this one, Sunday, they're like, hey, we need someone to play a doctor and someone to play an athletic trainer. And the guy even turned to me, he's like, sorry, man, probably not going to be you. Okay, cool.
Disrespect.
Yeah. And then we go to ringside. Hey, everyone go to ringside so Arn Anderson, who's a legend in the business, can choose who he wants. So we're standing there, and he's like, all right, we need a doctor and we need an athletic trainer tonight. And he turns to me, he's like, sorry, kid, you got too much of that wrestler look to you. And without missing a beat, I was like, thank you, sir. That's what I'm going for.
Nice.
And then he picked 2 other real generic looking dudes. And I just want to know if they felt what he was actually saying. He said something to me, but what he was actually saying was something to them too, which is, maybe you don't got that wrestler look about you, kid. And chose them. And then the next night on Raw, they came up to us and they're like, hey, we need 2 guys to fight Sheamus and Cesaro tonight, who didn't do anything last night. So one other guy and myself raised our hands because there were only 4 or 5 guys. Okay, well, you guys are wrestling on Raw tonight, so go get your gear on. So we go get our gear on. Then we go back down to, go to ringside. So we go to ringside. And then, some people are just, looking at us and talking, and some people looking at us and talking. And, it's not way too far from going to TV, going live. And they're like, oh, hey, one guy comes up to me, he's like, hey, listen, man, we're going to be honest, you're too big and too unique looking for this spot, so we're going to go ahead and choose another guy. So they are like, you can go ahead and get changed and go back to catering.
Now, what do you say to that, though? Because that's got to suck.
It sucks, yeah, because I would have been on live TV in a match. And it actually wasn't a 100% squash match, which is when one dude just pummels a dude for 30 seconds. This was going to be some stuff. They were going to make those guys let us have a few things, and that's a big deal. And I would have been in gear, and maybe if I was lucky, they would have called me by my work name. They usually don't, but maybe. And that gives you a rub, So they chose a guy who was a doctor or athletic trainer the night before, even though they don't like to double up those roles because they don't want people to recognize that wrestler as last night's athletic trainer. It's just not good. But they chose another guy because he was more kind of generic looking, which it is what it is. Plus, I hear you get a nice pay bump if you're on TV in a match. That would have been cool too. Instead, I watched the match and I saw the 2 dudes do some stuff, but pretty much get pummeled. So the second 3 days of extra work, that was the extent of what I did. Nothing. I got my gear on. They started playing in the match and they told me I'm not going to work because I'm not a wrestler. I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, but you made it to catering, son.
I made it to catering. I had a lot of stuff in catering. Then I didn't do extra work for a year maybe, and I'd spent most of my 17 in Japan. Right when I got back, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and submit my stuff to extra work over Christmas weekend. It was just Raw and SmackDown in Chicago. So you know what? I need the extra payday. So my friend Maria and I get booked on that, and Maria works for a hotel chain, so luckily she can get cheap rooms too. So we're like,
Shout out Motel 6.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember where she works. It's not Motel 6. So she's like, you know what? I'll just go and get us a super cheap room. Sunday night, Monday night, and I don't remember if we were driving back Tuesday night or if we were going to drive back Wednesday morning, but it didn't matter because she got the rooms real cheap for us. Okay, cool. So we drive up on Sunday night, which I believe is Christmas Eve.
To Chirac.
Yep, to Chirac.
That has to suck.
Luckily, the Allstate Arena is in a burb, so it's not like you're driving straight into the heart of the city. It was also winter, not great outside.
For show.
Yeah. As we're getting close to the hotel, her car starts acting up. Legitimately, as we're pulling into the hotel, her car dies. And we roll into a parking spot.
Sweet.
Yeah, great timing. Bad occurrence, but like good timing. We're like, oh no, what is this? So the next, obviously, this is a Sunday. We can't get towed. It's Christmas Eve. The next day is Christmas. We can't get towed. There's no shop open. Monday, we Uber to the venue. One of the other extras gives us a ride back after to the hotel. The next day, I'm trying to think if we got actually towed on Tuesday. I think we were able to get a tow truck to a shop that Tuesday, but it was a shop that was closed also on Tuesday because it was the day after Christmas. So Uber back over to extra work. That night, I was just like, I don't know, frustrated, whatever. And they both Monday and Tuesday, they bounced us back and forth between catering, getting geared up, going to ringside, and then going back to catering. So one of my funny stories, I've told a few people this recently. Actually, I told someone this story that day in front of Maria, who was with me, because I wanted her to make sure the story was accurate and back it up. Because I feel like people won't believe me on this story.
You got to get the fact check.
Yeah. So there's a WWE diva. Her name's Paige, and she's a goth girl. Like, she's English. She's a second, third generation wrestler. She's great. She can't wrestle anymore because she's hurt, but she's still on TV some. She's also on Total Divas, and they just moved the movie Fighting with My Family. That's about her. I think Paige is gorgeous. Like, she's my type.
Because you're into goth chicks.
Yep.
We get it.
So,
goth chicks and Vikings, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all sitting at catering, and it's probably 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. I don't know if they're live on TV yet. And I'm like, I'm just kind of frustrated. And I'm like, man, this is my 8th day doing extra work. And I've never gotten anything from this. I'm frustrated. I'm going to get something from this occurrence. Like, I don't care what it is. And people are like, and I say this vocally to the table. I'm like, you know what? Screw this, guys. I'm getting something out of this. Because Paige just walked into catering and she was over at a catering table. I told him, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hit on Paige. I don't care. I'm going to hit on Paige. This is what's happening. So I stand up. That same look on everyone's face that they had when I backtalked Sheamus, we'll just say it, Sheamus. That same look that everyone had then, all of these extras had when I said, you know what? I'm going to hit on Paige.
So you were shooting your shot while you were shooting your shot. This is like shot inception.
Dude, exactly. If I wasn't going to get signed to a contract, I might as well talk to a beautiful woman and just go for it.
Yeah.
Plus,
dip your pen in Company Inc. regardless.
Yeah, let's be realistic. I'm probably her type. So
I hope you're not. I hope she's into like CPAs and clean cut guys.
According to Total Divas, I'm her type. So I make a beeline for Paige, and I feel like I have a strut. And like in person, when I've been telling the story, I've been doing my strut, like my Jake strut, and her back is to me. And I'm just like, yeah, this is happening. And this is like a 30, 40 foot walk. I'm like, I got this. I got this. If I've ever had an interaction with a female that's going to go well and I'm going to kill it, it's this one right now. I'm getting her number. I'm like, yeah. So I'm walking up to her. I get about 2 feet from Paige. 2 feet from Paige when some production assistant steps right in front of me, grabs her by the back of the arm, was like, Paige, you're needing pre-tapes right now. So she actually, she she sits down her plate and goes immediately away with his production worker. Well, the second he stepped in front of me and grabbed the back of her arm, I just went ahead and with my extended right leg that was taking a step, just went ahead and did a complete 180 pivot, just real animated like a cartoon. Guess I'm going back to goddamn catering. Just went ahead and then Jake Omen strutted right back on over to the catering table.
You got blocked by a production assistant.
Yep. Not the worst time I've been blocked, actually. One time I was at an indie show. I'm not going to go into details on this one, story for another day. I was at an indie show and a former WWE diva shot her shot with me. Like a famous, beautiful one shot her shot with me, but then a former WWE douchebag actually blocked that one. Because they used to be together on the road years ago or whatever.
So then you beat the shit out of Triple H?
Oh, yeah. He's the one guy I'd give the pass because he's paid his dues. This dude hadn't paid the pass. I'll tell you who this is off air, but I'm just going to tell you, I want to
Look, for the record, it wasn't Mr. The Jericho, was it?
It wasn't Chris Jericho. It wasn't Chris Jericho.
Because he's a stand-up dude. He's got to be.
I'll be honest, he's allowed to. If Chris Jericho wants to step in front of me and hit on any woman, that's cool.
Oh yeah, if the walls are blocking you, man, you just
He
you gotta
earned
accept
it. He earned it. This jabron though hadn't earned it. This 6'3" scumbag can't work his way out of a box, let alone lace my goddamn boots. He's gonna cockblock me from a former WWE diva. Not cool, bro. I still want to kick his ass. Anyway, but yeah, flipped right around and went right back to my catering table and sat right down. I was like, guess I'm not hitting on Paige today. I think I should be applauded for going for it.
What'd you have in catering?
That day, I don't know, but I guarantee you, since it was a Tuesday, and the show was like ending, and I knew that there's no way we're doing anything on TV at all, I went and destroyed some dessert. I probably got like a piece of pie, probably got a piece of cake.
Oh, you made a statement.
Oh yeah, dude. By every time the show is like going on Tuesday, the last of 2 or 3 days, I'm gonna go to that table and obliterate. I'm gonna obliterate all the desserts because I earned it. But I'm not gonna obliterate all that stuff on a Monday when I, in theory, could be on Raw or SmackDown with my shirt off. I already don't have abs. Actually, I had abs at that time.
Just invest in an ab roller.
I should be doing it in catering when people are walking by, and I'll just be like, yeah, just always prepared. You know me. You want to use this, Cesaro?
Or just knock the chair out of the way, be like, chairs, man, do a wall squat while you hold your plate.
Ooh, I could grab a couple different chairs and put my feet and hands on all different chairs and do push-ups.
Oh, yeah, man. Got to be
do
at
that
the ready at
sometimes
all
in the
times.
locker room. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so none of these are that actual time that you allude to.
What time?
The time where you got to there was a stage for shot shooting and you were on that stage. We hadn't even gotten there.
Oh, my tryout?
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, my tryout. Yeah, so none of this stuff actually led to my tryout, but it was me trying to get my tryout. My tryout's a story for another day.
Well, surely we'll hear about it, won't we?
Sure. We can do that. If people want to hear about it.
You think they want to hear about it?
I mean, I got to kill it in Orlando for 3 days around a bunch of NFL players and stuff, make them look like chumps. That was cool.
We better see some comments. Part 2 this be for the tryout. If we get some interaction from some folks, if they want to hear it.
You better.
If they like it with their thumbs and their comments.
Otherwise, I won't leave it. Or if you leave a review, that helps too.
Yeah.
We got a lot of those now. All right, so that's I guess maybe part 1 of me trying to get to WB, shooting my shot. At Off the Cliff Pod, at JCommon2012, at Multimedia Hustle, and we'll catch you next week with Subject to be Determined.